Okay, today we are starting with a new story about Sri Gaurakisora Siromani. Sri Gaurakisora Shiromani's mother-in-law was a chaste lady. When her husband died, she expressed her desire to become sati. Sati means the wife who goes into the funeral pyre of her husband. Her relatives tried to dissuade her by telling her about the pain and torture a sati has to suffer. But then she dipped her finger in ghee or clarified butter and put it on the flame of a lamp. The finger began to burn like firewood. Showing the finger to her relatives, she said, "See how it burns, but it does not give me any pain." Then, after circumambulating 7 times the burning pile on which her husband's corpse was laid, she jumped into it. Even today, the place near Guskara station in Vardhaman district, where she became sati, is known as Sati Danga. Before jumping into the burning pile, she said to her people, "When my daughter Ramadasi comes to age, you marry her to Gaurachandra Shiromani, the son of Dana Krishna Chattopadhyaya of village Chitahati in Tahsila Katoya." At that time, Ramadasi was 1.5 years old, and Gaurachandra was a young boy who went about seeing theatrical performance and had little to do with reading or writing. Obviously, Ramadasi's mother had by her supernatural power seen in Gaurachandra a Siddha saint in the making. Ramadasi was married to him when she came of age. Up to the age of 20, Gaurachandra had not even learned alphabet. One day, one of his neighbors said, "Gaura, it seems you will remain illiterate and a disgrace to your family." So from that very day, he became restless for learning. After learning the rudiments of the Bengali language from some Pandita, he went to Katoya and joined the school, or Tola, Sanskrit school, of Panchanana Tarkaratna school. Later, he learned all the Bhakti Shastras from Sakhi Charan Das Pandit of Katoya and became famous as a Pandita, well versed in the Shastras. He began to live in the Natya Mandira of Mahaprabhu's temple in Katoya and started teaching. Natya Mandira actually means a hall in front of the temple. He also took Diksha mantra from Siddha Sri Chaitanya Das Baba of Navadvip and started bhajana. From early morning till 2 o'clock in the afternoon, he spent his time in Kirtana, Namajapa, and Lila Chintana, meditation on Lila. After that, he cleaned the path to Ganga and the place which was used by the Vaishnavas as urinal, as toilet. Then he bathed in Ganga, went to Mahaprabhu's temple for darshana, made obeisance to the Goswamis and Vaishnavas assembled in the temple, and took a particle of their prasad, which was thrown in a pit outside the temple. As for his meal, he boiled 4 handfuls of rice, added a little salt to it, and ate after offering it to Mahaprabhu. In the evening, he taught Srimad Bhagavatam and other Shastras to students. Once commenting on the Janmadasya Shloka of Srimad Bhagavatam in an assembly of great Vaishnava Pandits of Katoya, Siromani Mahashaya spoke for 35 days, and his explanation was throughout in support of the concept of Sri Gauranga and his philosophy. The Pandits with one voice acclaimed him king of the Pandits of Katoya and the surrounding area. The Tantrika Pandits of Kagrama of Murshidabad district got jealous of him. They invited him to Kagrama for Bhagavat lecture with a view to humiliate him. So they wanted to humiliate him on Bhagavat lecture. The lecture was arranged near the Vishnu temple of Kagrama. On the 3rd day of the lecture, the Pandits arranged for Pashubali, or animal sacrifice for Kali Puja. Instead of lecture at the same place where this lecture was being held. After Kali Puja, when they began the sacrifice, every time they had to strike the animal with the sword twice. This was an evil omen. So they tried to pray to the goddess. At night, the goddess told the pujari in a dream, "You have insulted a Vishnu Bhakta. I shall kill you." The Tantrika Pandits were very much frightened. They went to Siromani Mahashaya, apologized for their misdeed, and requested him to do something to save them. This name Mahashaya means a respectable person, or like Mahatma. So Siromani Mahashaya asked them to go and bathe in Ganga and chant Harinam. So the Pandits obeyed. They bathed in Ganga and pleased the goddess by taking initiation in Harinam from Siromani Mahashaya. After some time, Siromani Mahashaya went to Vrindavana and began to live in a house near Keshigat, which even today is known as Siromani Kunj. In Vrindavana, he used to teach Bhagavat to the Vaishnavas in the afternoon. An old Vaishnav, whom nobody knew, came to attend the Bhagavat lecture every day. Just when the lecture began, and went away immediately after the lecture, without giving an opportunity to anyone to inquire who he was and where he came from. Everybody can hear me? Okay? Yeah, okay, thank you.
It's good.
But he, this person who was coming, this older person, he listened to the lecture with utmost attention. One day, when Siromani Mahashaya was describing the Daksha Yagya mentioned in the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, one of the Vaishnavas asked, how could Sati burn her body by yogic power? Before Shiromani Mahashaya could say anything in reply, the old Vaishnava, who never spoke a word, said, do you want to hear or to see how she did it? The other Vaishnava said, who would like to hear if he can see? Of course. The old Vaishnava then said, all right, see. He sat cross-legged, facing the north, and said, Jai Gaur, and began to meditate. After a little while, fire blazed out of his great toes. Slowly, it began to spread all over his body. Oh, what a tragedy! The Vaishnavas tried to extinguish the fire by pouring water, but they could not stop the flames, and the body of the old Vaishnava was soon reduced to ashes. We have said before that in Vraja, many Siddha Mahatmas who left their physical body hundreds of years before still live there in their spiritual body and help remove the doubts and difficulties of the sadhakas. The old Vaishnava might have been one of them. Shiromani Mahashaya bowed down to everyone, considering him to be superior to him in devotion. It was difficult to walk along him on the road because he would bow down to every pilgrim who came to Vrindavan. When anyone asked him why he bowed to the pilgrims, he replied, you don't know. Your devotion to Vrindavana has become still because of your nearness to it. There is a little enthusiasm or zest in it. But these people live in far-off places. Some come from East Bengal, some from Gujarat, Maharashtra, Madras, or Multana. In spite of all the trouble and tribulation they have to suffer on the way, there yearning and enthusiasm for Vrindavana are much more adorable. So my head naturally bows down to them. Shiromani Mahashaya, as far as possible, never allowed anyone to do Dandavat to himself. Anyone who wanted to do Dandavat to him found him lying prostrate at his feet even before he made obeisance to him. Once Sridhar, a disciple of Vijay Krishna Goswami, went to him for darshana. At that time, he was asleep. Sridhar performed Dandavat at his feet. As soon as he got up after performing Dandavat, he saw that Shiromani Mahashaya's feet had automatically turned in another direction. He performed Dandavat a second time. This time also he saw that his feet had turned in another direction. In this way, he performed Dandavat 3 times, every time from a different direction according to the direction of Shiromani Mahashaya's feet. And every time he found that sleeping Shiromani Mahashaya's feet had automatically turned to avoid his Dandavat. After living in Vrindavana for some time, Shiromani Mahashaya fell seriously ill. Thinking that his life would soon end, he took Vaishnava sannyas from Siddha Sri Nityananda Das Babaji of Madan Mohan Thaur. After Vesh, he was given the name Shri Gaurakisora Siromani. By the grace of Guru, he slowly recovered from illness. Siddha Shri Balaram Das Babaji then advised him to go and live in the ashrama of Shri Nityananda Das Babaji. He started living there. Even before his Vesh, Gaurakisora Das Babaji was known as a Siddha Mahatma. After his Vesh, Nityananda Das Babaji became more famous, and people began to come to him in larger numbers for darshana and advice regarding bhajan. Seeing that this created disturbance in his bhajan, Gaurakisora Shiromani himself sat at the gate of Nityananda Das Babaji's kuti or cottage and removed the doubts and difficulties of the people who came to see Nityananda Das Baba to their satisfaction, so that Nityananda Das Baba have his peace for bhajan. If anyone insisted on having the darshan of Nityananda Das Baba, he asked him to come in the evening when Baba came out to listen to the daily lecture. On account of the service he thus rendered to Sri Gurudev, however, his own bhajan began to be disturbed. But this did not dissuade him from the service of Gurudev, because he considered service to Gurudev of much greater importance than his own bhajan. Besides, in course of time, he adjusted himself to the new situation and could carry on his bhajana undisturbed, even while engaged in the service of Gurudev. He used to say to the Tyagis, those who had renounced the world, that in their bhajana they should be like the pigeon of Naubatakan. So this Naubatakan actually is a place above the entrance gate of a temple or palace reserved for the musicians who beat the drum and play the shahanai, a musical instrument like flute. This Naubatakan is usually infested by pigeons who continue to live there happily as if totally unconcerned with the disturbing sound of the drum. So, so he used to say to the Tyagis, or those who renounce the world, that in their bhajana they should be like the pigeon of Naubatakan. Sometimes, after Gaurakisora Siromani had taken Vesh from Nityananda Das Babaji, Pandit Ramakrishna Das Babaji also took Vesh from him. Nityananda Das Babaji told Ramakrishna Das Babaji, although Gaurakisora is your god brother, you should regard him as your guru. This speaks of the high esteem in which Gaurakisora Siromani was held by Siddha Nityananda Das Babaji. Also, other Vaishnavas held him in high esteem. At that time, there lived in Vrindavana, besides Nityananda Das Baba and Pandit Ramakrishna Das Baba, a number of other Siddha Mahatmas and Vaishnavas like Siddha Balaram Das Baba, Shri Brahmananda Goswami Pad of Sringaravat, Goswami, Shri Nilamani Goswami Pad, Shri Harachandra Goswami Pad, Shri Ganga Prasad Roy of Tarasa, and Shri Hajar Mahashaya. Gaurakisora Siromani was highly respected by all of them. These Siddha Mahatmas kept an eye upon all sadhakas. If they found anyone acting against the principles of behavior laid down in the Shastras for sadhus and Vaishnavas, they castigated him. They chastised him. Once they had to chastise even Gaurakisora Siromani Baba for one of his lapses. The Rani of Hetamapur came to Vrindavana. She was very much pleased to hear the Bhagavat lecture of Gaurakisora Das Babaji. After the lecture, she sent some money, fruits and flowers, etc. to him in the form of dakshina. He accepted them because he did not want to hurt the Rani by refusing them. The Vaishnavas reprimanded him for taking this dakshina. He realized the gravity of his offense and asked for punishment. So, accepting alms or dakshina for Bhagavat lecture is regarded as an offense. Also, the Vaishnavas are not supposed to accept alms from a king or queen or any other Vishayi or worldly minded person. The Vaishnavas ordered that he should do Bhagavat lecture in each of the temples of Vrindavana within a year. The order was difficult because The number of temples in Vrindavana was huge. Yet Gaurakisora Baba carried out the order by doing several lectures a day. Siromani Mahashaya always swam freely in the ocean of bhava, and the slightest stimulus made him dive deep into it. Once he saw a dancing girl returning from somewhere after a performance. The girl reminded him of a Vraja gopi, and he was so overwhelmed with bhava that he fell unconscious on the ground. One night, Siromani Mahashaya heard his guru Sri Chaitanya Das Babaji saying to him in a dream, Siromani, I am coming to Vrindavan. He understood that Gurudev had left the body to participate in Krishna Lila in celestial Vrindavana. He was shocked. But soon after, in the year 1890, he also followed his Gurudev. So this was the story of Gaurakisora Siromani. So nice. Our next Siddha Mahatma is Sri Gauracharana Das Babaji. So Siddha Sri Gauracharana Das Babaji was a descendant of Sri Lokanath Goswami, an associate of Srimad Mahaprabhu. He was born in Dalkahari village in the district of Jessore, Bangladesh. At a very early age, he left home and went to Navadvip. There he took initiation from Siddha Sri Chaitanya Das Babaji. After remaining in the service of Gurudev for a long time, he requested permission to go to see Holy Vraja and then return. Gurudev said, Go, but will you be able to return? Having gone there, you may find yourself in the love trap of Krishna and Balaram. They may not let you come. Gauracharan said, No, Gurudev, you may rest assured I will return quickly after making the 84 Kosha Parikram, or circumambulation of Vraja. Gauracharana went to Vrindavan. He performed the Parikram of Vraja. At the conclusion of the Parikram, he went to Mahavan and had the darshan of Dauji, or the deity of Balaram. He resolved to pass the night there and at dawn to set out for Navadvip. During the night, while he was asleep, Dauji called him by name and said, Look, you are very dear to me, so remain here and do bhajana in the cave you see over there. Here you will attain all that you want. The devotee worships Bhagavan because he loves him. But when Bhagavan begins to love the devotee, what remains for him to achieve? What remains is the sweet game of hide and seek that goes on between the two. Gauracharan Baba had Sakya Bhava, or the Bhava of friendly relationship towards Bhagavan. Friends often have love quarrel between them. It was not unnatural, therefore, that Gauracharan should have quarreled with Dauji. So, protesting against what Dauji said, he replied, "No, I shall not go. I shall go to Navadvip, according to the instructions of my guru. I will not stay here." "I will not let you go," said Dauji, with a playful smile on his face. So Gauracharana found himself in a predicament. He did not know whether he should obey his guru or Dauji. After reflecting for a while, he said, "No, no, I shall go. I shall leave this very moment." Even as he said this, he sprang up, slung his bag over his shoulder, and set out at midnight. Gauracharana was marching fast. As he was marching on, there rang in his ears sometimes the words of Gurudev, "Go, but will you be able to return?" And sometimes the words of Dauji, "I'll not let you go." The smiling face of Dauji seemed to draw him back forcibly. Still, he was pushing forward with long strides, with big steps. Every little while, he turned his face back to see whether Dauji was coming right behind. He was determined to stop a while and take rest only after crossing the perimeter of Vraja. After going a long distance, he thought, "By now perhaps I have crossed the border of Vraja." But as the day dawned, he was amazed to find where he was. He exclaimed, "Oh, have I, like a fool, been only going around and around Baladev Kund all night long? This illusion must have been maneuvered by Baladev, made by Baladev." The words of Gurudev came true. Gauracharana realized that it was not possible for him to escape the grip of Dauji. What could the helpless Babaji do? He began to dwell in the cave pointed out by Dauji and do his sadhana there. He would get up very early in the morning and take his bath and start chanting, "Rama, Krishna." In this case, Rama was the pool named after Baladev. Actually, no, sorry, wrong. This was something else. This was pool is that Baladev Kund. And this case, Ram was from Balaram. So it was like Ram Krishna, but this Ram is Balaram. So he would get up very early in the morning, take his bath, and start chanting, "Ram, Krishna." with the aid of a large beads, bar japa. He would go on chanting till the afternoon. Then he would come out of the cave, again take bath, and sit down for reading Srimad Bhagavatam and other scriptures. At dusk, he would go begging for food. He would talk with no one, nor would he go anywhere else. For 20 years, he did bhajana in this manner in the cave. His absorption in chanting was so deep that even while asleep, he could be heard chanting Ram Krishna, Ram Krishna. Gauracharan Baba had the conceit of being the younger brother of Sri Dama and the elder brother of Radharani. It is believed that Dauji used to go to his cave and feed him with butter and sugar candy. After some time, Gauracharana's reputation as a Siddha Mahatma spread far and wide. A devout person of the Saha caste came from Bangladesh to get initiation from him. Every day when Baba went out for begging, he saw him sitting outside his cave. But Baba said nothing to him. In this way, 1 year passed. Then one day he asked him, "Who are you? What do you want?" Saha Mahashaya introduced himself and said, "I desire your grace, your mercy," meaning initiation. "What is that under your arm?" asked Baba. "This is Chaitanya Charitamrita," he replied. Baba took him inside the cave and asked him to recite Chaitanya Charitamrita. From that day, for about a year, Saha Mahashaya recited to him Chaitanya Charitamrita every day. During this period, Baba gave him Diksha. Later, he gave him Vaishnav Sannyas and the name Sri Dayaldas. Dayaldas was the first disciple of Sri Gauracharan Das Babaji. After him, many others took initiation or Vesh from him. At the time of hearing the recitation of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Gauracharan Das Baba used to be overwhelmed with bhava. So profuse used to be the flow of tears from his eyes that his clothes got completely drenched. Listening daily to the recitation, he became so engrossed in love for Gaura that instead of chanting Ram Krishna, he began to chant the names of Gaura and his associates. Shri Gauranga Nityananda, Shri Advaita Chandra, Gadadhara, Shrivasadi, Gaura Bhakta. How is it that Gauracharan Baba was intensely devoted to Rama and Krishna, Balaram and Krishna, became a devotee of Gaura? Was it because the Madhurya, sweetness of Bhagavan in the form of a Bhakta, charged him with Mahabhav, the sentiment of Radha's love for Krishna, the highest love sentiment? That is, so this is even more charming than the sweetness or madhurya of Krishna. So this Mahabharata is even more charming than the sweetness madhurya of Krishna, the highest embodiment of all rasas. A year later, Dayaldas Babaji expressed to Gurudev his desire to go to Navadvip to have the darshana of his Param Gurudev. So Gauracharan thus found himself in a predicament. He did not want to be deprived of the company of a loving devotee like Dayaldas. But after reflecting for a while, he said with a deep sigh, with a deep breath, "All right, go. I could not go back to serve Gurudev. You go and serve him." Dayaldas went away. But Gauracharana could not bear his separation. He began to think that Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu himself had come to him in the disguise of Dayaldas to dispense Gaura Bhakti to him. He went out from his grove, from his cave. He went actually from grove to grove, from part to part, shouting, "Dayal, Dayal, Dayal," like a madman. Did Gauracharan Baba, in consequence of his love for Gaura, forget all about Rama and Krishna? The question does not arise, for Gaura is not separate from Krishna. He is only a different form or manifestation of Krishna. He is Gaura Krishna, or fair complexioned Krishna, having the form and conceit of a devotee. He appears in this form in order to relish the madhurya of his own Krishna form, and also to relish Krishna prema, or the bliss of loving devotion to Krishna. There was no change in Gauracharana's Sakya Bhava towards Rama and Krishna. Under the maddening spell of this sentiment, one day he went to the temple of Govindaji in Vrindavan. Perchance, he was reminded of Krishna's own saying in Srimad Bhagavatam, "I follow close behind my devotee, so that the dust of his feet may settle on my body, and I may be purified." So he went before the Murti of Govindaji and said, "Take the dust of my feet." And the priest of Govindaji thought he was mad. They pushed him out of the temple. While going out of the temple, he turned his face towards Govindaji and said, "All right, you push me out, but remember, my name is Gauracharan. When you come out to play in the evening, I shall make you take the dust of my feet. Unless you do so, I will not play with you." Gauracharana Baba's behavior towards Govinda may arouse our indignation. But surprisingly, Govinda enjoyed it. He always enjoys the devotee's outburst of anger in love more than praises and glorification of a devotee conscious of his Aishwarya or lordliness. This is an extreme example of Raganuga Bhakti, or spontaneous outflow of devotion, free from the stress and strains of the moral imperative or the injunctions of the scriptures, which is prevalent in Vraja. but it highlights the importance of the total absence of Aishwarya Bhava in Raganuga. After some time, Sri Gauracharandas Baba went to Kunjara village in Vraja and began to reside there. He lived very long. In his last years, he resided in Vrindavana with his disciple Shri Krishna Chaitanya Das, or Rai Sahib Shri Kailash Das, in the Manipuri Kunj, where he left his physical body to join Shri Krishna in celestial Vrindavana and participate in his Leela. So, I think 2 stories for one day are enough. So what do you think? This last one nicely is talking how actually in Raganuga Bhakti there is no place for Aishwarya Bhakti. Not thinking about them as God. Especially in bhajan. If we are a manjari, then there is no Aishwarya there. They are ours, our close ones. So we don't see them in that way. And even at home, our Radha and Krishna, in whatever name we have for them, our Ishtadev, are our family. And we care for them as our family. This is, in this way actually, is so much helpful in developing that normal emotions, not awe and reverence emotions, but loving emotions towards them. And that is our goal. Yes? No. Maybe somebody wants to say something. Little. What you liked from these 2 stories? Maybe something touched your heart, or So soon will be Italian Sangha. And these 2 stories that we read today are nicely showing, especially second one, the relationship in Raganuga Bhakti. I mean, if we just imagine, if we see someone coming to Govindaji and telling him that you will take dust from my feet, what we will think yeah, of that person. But actually in this mood, he doesn't see Govindaji in a way like as a god, but as his friend. Because he told him, if you want to play with me, you will take dust from my feet. Of course, we have our own relationship with our Ishtadev, and imitation is not recommendable. But in a way, you have your own relationship and your own communication with your Ishtadev. And you know how you communicate and how you relate with them, with love, of course. So the next story for next week will be about Sri Lala Babu. Sri Lala Babu, this will be from page 104. So this will be our next story, Lala Babu from Kolkata. Thank you very much for listening. Radhe Radhe.